Sorry about that. Okay. Trying to start something.
Quote, Obama has no intention to darken the final part of his presidency and legacy by the scandal surrounding the main contender from the Democratic Party.
Okay, I don't think you can see it. Maybe it's not hooked up properly. So I'll just go ahead and talk about it. There's so much breaking news going on 1,899 days since Richard was forcibly removed from the barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, because he was a whistleblower. He was a whistleblower, and we had a Trojan horse. We have a Trojan horse. We still have a Trojan horse, and it's probably the biggest Trojan horse you've ever seen. It is a Trojan horse that's fed by a bunch of billionaires. A major billionaire that's coming out is Soros. Soros is proven to be feeding this big Trojan horse with his Open Society Foundation, and this is what is breaking news everywhere. And it caused a lot of pain, everywhere. It's causing a lot of pain everywhere because he's up to no good. He's up to no good. I wanted to get my notes over here because it's so important to explain everything that is going on with this, and I just try to do everything by memory. But my mind doesn't think destruction of a people like Soros's foundation does, right? It doesn't think that way. So so I have to write down notes, and it's I've posted up the YouTube and the TikTok of this this podcast. Let me make sure. Oh, dude, I did write the name of it. Let me see if I can go on here. If I got off of it. Yes. Soros scandal backfires. The British intel is exposed in this. Now, all of this needs to be the prometheanaction.com. It all needs to be investigated, correct? It needs to be investigated. So I don't want to say that I have all the answers. I'm saying that our intelligence is coming back, that the dossier and this information is pointing to the funding of chaos, the funding of Antifa, that points to Soros and the Open Society. And more than that, because the Antifa is just one little battle strategy of the end goal, which is to destroy the United States of America, the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution, the land and the people. That is the end goal. Goal is to, create a new open society with a global agenda, a global I don't want to even call it a constitution, because who's going to rule the way the EU does it? It's not even elected. they're not even ruled by elected individuals. The EU they're just the EU, and it's all appointed. It's so terrible. The people have no say. And so let me make sure that I'm on, make sure everything is working. I've just gotten so much information that that it put me very late tonight again. But we're very, very grateful for all the information that we get. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. I've gotten so much information, and all of it is helping. It's all helping. And sometimes I don't even answer back because we have so much information coming in that I don't even have time to answer back because I'm trying to look up everything that people are giving me. And sometimes it's, those that are up to no good that give me things, but you never know. Sometimes it leads to things they don't expect. And it's kind of like the whole Nadal Baim thing. It's really a example and more examples of how they have entrapped themselves, like Woody Hunt with El Paso Matters. They've entrapped themselves with their own tools, with their own weapons, right? And then we see that with the U.S. Attorney for New York, Letitia James, who, also entrapped herself with her own weapons, with her own crimes, and then used her position to cover it up. This is what the accusations are, and then we have more and more and more where their own situation, their own misdoings, right? The fruit of their crimes is what catches them. And so, I'm looking at just everything, right? Just um, uh, everything that anyone sends. And because it's all coming together, we're just fine tuning everything. And we're, making sure that the Trump administration gets rooted. And you see what's going on with the Trump administration, right? They're getting there's mutiny, of course. They don't like to say it, but they have to say it. That's why they're firing people, because you have leftovers from the Biden, from the Obama administration, even the Bush administration, that are up to no good. They have the likes of even, rhinos that you think you can trust, and they're really they've made a deal with the devil, right? They've made a deal with the devil, and that's going on right now in the run for the AG's position. Um, I'm just, gosh, I wish Paxton would just stay there because I don't like what I see in that race. But um, God is in control of all of this, and it's all coming together. It's all coming together with even, years ago doubts uh, and of course, you are like, gosh, this is so mountainous. Can I climb this mountain? And you just say, no, I can't give up. I can't give up. Am I to just go to heaven on flowery beds of ease while others fought the good fight, right? And shed their blood. Um, and uh, those are questions that you ask and you say, no, I got to fight this because um, we need to keep our country. We need to keep our country. And for Richard, we need to get his remains, and that is coming out now. Okay, things are coming out about Richard's remains, and so please stay tuned with that, because this is our goal, is to get our son's remains, and things are moving in that direction. It's been very difficult, and you see what the harassment, those that are involved in our son's case in a very bad way, thought that we would never find our son's remains. They thought we would never find our son's remains. Well, I think they're wrong. Um, I think oh gosh, I can't give you any more details because we have people that are up to no good listening to this. But this is it's things are happening in that regards, and then of course the accountability. So that's a little trickier because we've got the Trojan horses, right? And we are figuring out who the Sylvia Brune de Firths are, right? Who's like Cynthia Brune de Firth? Who's like Colin Whitten? Who's like Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr.? Who's like Cynthia Hernandez? Who's like Bradford Bugado? Who's like Nadal Baim? Who's like James Hart? Who's like Dallas Hart? Who's like Tavita Nusa? Who's like Lalani Hart? Who's like DES Thomas Kane? Who's like Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, Sean Cordona Bernabe? Who is like Kayla Cordona? Who is like her and her husband Ismael? Um, Gonzalez, I think that's a Gonzalez too. Um, in the Jag. And, who is like Donna Martin, the IG, the provost marshal, and then the IG of the army, who is like that, because these are traitors. Who is like, Command Sergeant Major Jake Jakovich, Shaky Jake Jakovich, who is like David Stewart, who is like Major General Clem Coward, who is like General McConville and General Garrett and General Mealy, and who are like these are absolute. Who is like Jaime Esparza, the DA for the 34th Judicial District, and also the U.S. Attorney for the Western District, who are like them, because these are traitors. These are absolutely traitors to the country. And who is like Penny Hamilton, right? The Judge Penny Hamilton, the Mac Court judges, because these are traitors, these are infiltrators. And so with President Trump's administration, you have to do things legally. You have to clear out the corruption, the toxic waste, fraud, and abuse, the pollution, um, uh, uh, the traitors. You have to clean them out in order to, because they're the very agency heads that give accountability, right? That make it all happen. And that's why, like, who is like Delia Briones, who is like Judge Madrano, who is like Joe Spencer. These are all traitors, okay? And Manny Chavira and Bob Moore, and and there's so many that are absolute traitors. And some of those traitors repent, right? They repent. I would say uh, we know a couple that have been like, "Oh my gosh, it was so bad. It was so bad. The culture was so bad. What did I get caught in on?" and I don't want to do this anymore, right? So yeah, you have those who is like um, convicted child, the most terrible crimes against children, William Molinar, right? Uh, these are all like officers um, and the judicial who is like the Mayellas. These are top traitors. Who is like Michael Gonzalez, top traitor. He's the Fraternal Order of Police, top traitor. Um, and there's many, um, and they got caught up in it, like Bro Pecans, right? Patrick Brookshire and his family, his wife, I should say, his wife's family. That is the owners of Dreams Cabaret, where Leilani Hart was getting her mail, where Kyle Eswick, who's like Kyle Eswick, the soldier fuel distributor, that is a strip dancer, right? Um, you know, and then we have the whole fuel theft going on right now. We have the Chinese drones being flown right outside of Fort Bliss without notifying Fort Bliss. Right now, we have that going on. Um, and of course, we have the crematorium, Plenitude Crematorium, uh, you know, um, not wanting to find the remains, right? That is the remains dumping ground. And, it echoes a lot of Vanessa Guillén's case. And that's why I wanted to talk about Vanessa Guillén's case, because I know from the mother's words, from Vanessa Guillén's mother's words, that true justice has not come to the Vanessa Guillén case. That Vanessa Guillén case is tied to Richard's case, tied to the Walmart mass shooting case. Even though it happened at Fort Hood under General Michael Xavier Garrett. He was the Force-Com general, four-star general. It's the same general, the same operating procedures of Fort Bliss. Richard's Force-Com general was the same as Vanessa Guillén's. They were under the same command. And there was, this common denominator of um, terrible, terrible activities right there on the bases. No excuse for it. We give them everything. Those bases, those arms rooms, the the security of the bases should be top notch, because we give them all the money. We give them everything, and we give them our trust, and we give them our love, and we give them our hope, and they've betrayed it. Michael Garrett betrayed it, and it was a real mess there at Fort Hood. So much of a mess when you read Vanessa Guillén's story, when you read what happened to Vanessa Guillén, when you read what happened to her remains, what they did to her body, in order to hide the remains. It echoes Richard's case, okay, or Richard's case echoes Vanessa Guillén. And the thing about Richard's case is that it was very close to the border, so they could traffic his body over the border after they dismembered it. But they did the same thing to Vanessa Guillén, dismembering, but they dug a foxhole, and they put her parts in it, and covered her with lime, and covered her with concrete, and covered her with dirt, and never thought that anyone would ever find where she was buried, because it was so sophisticated. It was very sophisticated. But God had a different idea, you see. God had a different idea, and the remains were found right before Richard was forcibly removed from the barracks and taken to a soundproof room where they took his life on base, and then stole his remains from base and dismembered and trafficked his remains. Um, so, it is a huge echo of Vanessa Guillén's. And now, who is funding this kind of destruction of our country? Who is bribing the generals? Who is bribing the NCOs? Who is causing the criminal trafficking to be done in the barracks? Um, who is uh, who is funding the destruction of our military training, of our military? Who is doing that? Who's allowing that? And it would have to be a billionaire, because the commander in chief of the United States military is the president of the United States. So you better have a lot to offer them, right? And President Trump administration, the leaks that are coming out, are they leaks? The information that it's coming out is that Zorro had a George Soros, the open society, right? Foundation is a big part of this in the funding of all of this. Those are the allegations that are being made, and they really show his playbook, and his playbook to destroy, to control the media, to do everything you see in Richard's case, right? To get some kind of plot to discredit your opponent. You saw that with what they did over and over again with President Trump and with Putin in this case. The information is saying that it's also Putin, that they were discrediting because, sorry, it's almost 1 o'clock. Because he has Russia. He's Russia. Putin is Russia, right? Russia. You know how they say it in that 2012, I think is it? Yeah, 2012 movie. It's Russian, right? Robert and I really love watching that. um, it's just really good writing and good plots and everything like that. But anyway, yeah, so they were after President Trump, MAGA, right? Make America Great Again, and Russian. They don't want sovereign states. They don't want peoples to have an identity, right? To have an identity where they belong. That's why they've destroyed the family. That's why they've tried to destroy the family, try to destroy the sacraments, because it's the sacraments that give people their identity under God. And the baptism gives people their names under God. Haven't you ever watched Life with Father? It's all about identity, right? The identity crisis, because the father has not been baptized. And it's an identity crisis. And it is. It's a total identity crisis. They had more epistemological self consciousness than we do. Um, and because identity is really important, and it brings peace. It brings peace. And this is where, how President Trump is bringing forth peace is because he is allowing and respecting people's identity, right? People's identity as an individual and people's identity as a people, be it an Israeli, because there's so many different people in Israel. It's not just the Jews. There's so many different people that consider themselves as Israelis, right? And then you have the Palestinians. He's respecting their identity. And the same thing with all over the world, what he is accomplishing when it comes to peace. And but the left, the open border, those that want chaos, those that want an open society that billionaire Soros spends his millions on promoting, is the antithesis of peace, is the antithesis of make America great again, of Russia, of any identity, right? It's the antithesis of identity. They want you to have no identity at all, right? Just being a Borg. They just want you to be a Borg or an org Borg. Borg is, I think, from Battlestar Galactica, the Borgs. They want you to be like Borgs, and then you have the orgs. Um, where you are just just another worker, another person that has to pay their taxes, right? Not even a person. They don't even want you to be a person. They just um and this is the open society foundation. This is what they're working on. And so that's why they attack anyone that has an identity. And you can't have, I mean, Trump is like the poster boy for identity, the Trump trademark, right? The Trump brand, Trump, the Trump family, the Trump tower, the Trump vodka, the Trump, it is all Trump, 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 the Trump golf courses. He is absolutely the epitome of embracing his identity, and not only embracing his identity, but growing his identity, and getting powered and energy from the peace that comes from his identity. It's those that are confused, right? That are confused. Am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I a this? Am I a that? Am I a... And then they get angry and angry and angry and angry. And then we have this shoot 'em up, bang bang stuff because they have no identity. They don't know who the heck they are. And then they say they try to figure it out, and then, oh well, maybe not, maybe this, maybe no. Your identity comes from God, and you have to embrace that, right? And that's why baptism is so important. And there's no qualification for honoring your parents. There's not like, well, if you had good parents, honor them, you know and that's not what God tells you. God says, honor your mother and father, or father and mother, that things will go well with you and you will live long on the earth. It's the only commandment with a promise, right? That's what he tells you, right? It doesn't give any kind of, well, if you don't like if your mother aggravates you, if your father is a philanderer or whatever, then you don't have to honor them. It doesn't say that. It just says, honor your father and mother. Honor them. And as a parent, that's a great relief. It is such a great relief because none of us really, none but God alone, are really deserving of being honored like that, right? So, what does it mean to honor your father and mother? To have that identity, right? To make it right for them, no matter what situation they're in, for them to say, wow, my son, um, he makes me look good. He makes me look like I was a good parent, even though I might have been a bad parent. Um, he's lifting up our name. He's lifting up our family. She's lifting up our family. She's lifting up our name. What a magnificent person that is. Um, you know, this is how you honor your father and mother. This is how you embrace your identity. And it really sometimes it's like I don't even want to be good because I'm so mad at my parents for well, I don't even know who the hell my dad is or who, and they just get so angry and caught up in trying to figure out a new identity that they don't say, look, this is a situation that God has put me in, and I have to embrace it. Whether I'm come from a poor family or a middle class family or a rich family or a very confused family, or, I have to, embrace it, what God has given, and I have to honor it and just make it better. Just make it as good as I can, and not make any deals with the devil, right? And this is what Soros hates. He wants you to be in his playbook. He wants you to be very confused. He doesn't even want you to know uh, how God created you. He doesn't want you to embrace your family. He doesn't want you to honor your father and mother. He doesn't want that at all. And that's why anyone that does do that is the pride of the nation, is the pride of their family, is the pride of their state or their city, is successful, like President Trump. He funded, this is what is the breaking news, he funded to have their good name destroyed. Can you believe it? How wicked is that? And this is what they did to Richard, because it's still in the algorithm, um, negative terms about Richard, and they're lies. They're absolute lies. But because they control big swaths of the media, because they have their little armies that do this keyboard warrior thing, um, eh, you know, they they went after Richard, and they went after President Trump, and they went after Putin. Whether and I don't care if Putin's good or bad. I don't care if any of them are good or bad. They didn't care. What they cared is that they could lie and cheat and put forth the false narratives, like the Walmart mass shooting, orchestration of a false narrative, um, put it out there to make it even worse, to bring the person down, to destroy the person, to destroy anything good. And why did they do that? Because their plan was to get people on drugs, destroy the family, make them dependent on the government, hate the government, cause riots, so people hate their city, hate the government, and then they could absolutely destroy the country, because there's um, uh, no esprit de corps anymore, no patriotism, and they could destroy the country, and then they can control you like you're a bunch of Borgs and make you even more poor. Okay, absolutely. Well, enslave you like you're an Orky Borg, right? That's Soros's playbook. Okay, and he doesn't keep it a secret. He absolutely puts it out there, and all you have to do is research it, and you're like horrified what he wants, the direction of people's lives. He wants to control every bit of it and make it hell, make it absolutely hell. And so it is no surprise that one part of that would be to have a group of like Borg orgs, like Antifa, right? Who he could cleverly not be like the designated leader, because then you get into all kinds of legal things, but he could fund them. He could find way. find ways to fund them, and they could cause all kinds of problems. And then he could grab onto the media and say, oh, these are peaceful protests, while the whole doggone downtown city is burning, right? You know, so this is of course, the media, of course, the Antifa. This is the big part that we want to concentrate on that absolutely is coming out now, um, about Soros and his funding. And the finance has been absolutely looking into that. And this is, you know, so that's a huge funder, right? You're talking about billions of dollars. Um, and then you have those that are the Trojan horse, right? The Trojan horse infiltrators. And that is really why you see the justice system in El Paso just a mess, just absolutely a mess, unconstitutional mess, because you have, um, okay, get this. Judge Simon, okay, get this. You have Connell Witten in the FBI ringing up. Hello, hello. Oh, yes, Cafe Central? Cafe Central? Yes. I know your seats are very precious. I know, you might even be bugged. I know that all the who's who goes to you, right? So I would like to make a reservation. Make a reservation for Judge Samaniago. Yes, okay, let me say it slowly. Judge Ricardo Samaniago. Yes, the El Paso County judge. And his dinner partner, yes, he's bringing his girlfriend. Yeah, so okay, put a chair there for, yeah, no high chairs necessary. Just put the chair there. And then we need another seat. We need another seat. And this is Rafael Aureliano, right? Quran, the owner, the neighbor of Beto O'Rourke, the owner of the rotting body crematorium. They want to have dinner. Yeah, they want to have dinner together. Yeah. Um yeah, this is why. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want you to give him the best seat. This is FBI Assistant Special Agent Connell Witten. Um, you know, so this is what's going on. This arrangement, and there's no arrangement of a dinner like that together without Connell Witten of the FBI giving a thumbs up or making the arrangements himself. Maybe that was a little show, but making the dinner arrangements for Cafe Central. But this is true that they went out to eat, that the owner of the rotting body, funeral um, and mortuary operations, scam, terrible sacrilege scam, ate dinner with county judge Ricardo Samaniago. He's the one that signs off on everybody's checks, right? He's the one that signs off on the unqualified illegal H-1B fraudster Mario Raskin Ortiz of the El Paso um, um, chief medical examiner, right? Of almost a half a million a year. But, it is Samaniago that signs off on that check, and he's up to no good. He's up to no good. And meeting with Rafael Quran, um, this owner, and Raphael's wife that lives in the house that's right beside Beto O'Rourke, or the last time I saw it, she runs or helps run has a big position in the city magazine. So, it's all about media controlling the minds of people, controlling them with bribes, controlling them with compromising them, um, and making them Borgs and orgs so that they can have an open society, which means a one world order where everyone doesn't have an identity. And I've seen that in Europe because I grew up in Europe. Um, Germany was Germany and Italy was Italy and France was France, and everybody was much happier, and got along really well. Um, and now that they are Borgs and orgs, the EU, uh, it's a real problem. There's a lot of hard feelings. If Ireland can't be Ireland and the British can't be British, they've lost their identity and there's confusion. And that confusion leads to destruction. And Soros seems to applaud that in his plan. Just applaud that. So, we're concerned about how they're um, doing everything they can to destroy the United States. So we are trying to preserve the United States and help President Trump as much as we can. So, and he's doing a magnificent job. He's doing such a magnificent job that the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize dedicated it to President Trump. Dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to President Trump, saying that he deserved it. He deserved it for the peace that he's bringing, because he's bringing order again, order and identity. Identity. Not this alias upon alias upon alias. But what's your name? What's your name? And this is a beautiful thing. A lot of peace comes from that. So that's why he's gotten so many agreements, right? A lot of peace comes from that. So I hope that you celebrate your identity, not the one that you kind of want or that you're confused about or whatever, but what God gave you. What God gave you. And what parents he gave you, where you're from, everything. Some people were trafficked, they don't even know their origin. That's the thing with the trafficking. They don't even know their origin. They don't even know where they come from. This is the plan, to take people's identity away, to confuse them, and then to, it leads to destruction. So, and they absolutely tried to take Richard's identity away, and President Trump gave it back. He gave it back, calling him a beloved son, worthy of the honor of the entire America, of all Americans, and a name that's indelible, an identity that is indelible, that will never be forgotten. They wanted to erase Richard, and they wanted to make him, lie about who he was. And President Trump set them right. Set it right. And I'm very grateful for that, because that's, legacy is very important. A name is very important. Identity is very important. And these monsters that did this to Richard, um, they're very confused. And that's why they're so evil. They're very confused. And think about it. The devil didn't want to be the seraphim, right? Uh, right there with God. He wanted to be God. He wanted to be something that he's not. And that's why he's so evil, because he can't accept his own identity. God gave him everything. The Bible says, I gave him everything. He was covered in jewels. He was covered in gold. He was covered in all the finest things. And he had, the place right there in the inner circle. And he wasn't satisfied. They want to be something that they're not. And it's pretty greedy. It's pretty greedy. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's really coming out now that we're at this billionaire stage, showing that the internal chaos in the justice system in El Paso, in the justice system, in the law enforcement system, in the media system, is because it's been sponsored and it's been on purpose. It's intentional that they funded this kind of confusion, this kind of chaos. It's intentional. And that the destruction of many families, the compromising of many families, the rotten culture being brought in, and confusing culture that makes a lot of people mentally ill. They're on mental medication because of all of the confusion that's being seeded, instead of embracing the identity that God has given you, the definition that God has given you. That's all coming from intentionally the likes of Woody Hunt, the likes of Soros. And that's not me saying that. That is the evidence coming out saying that. Okay, that's the evidence coming out, and I posted it, and I hope you take some time to go through it, because it's amazing that we are getting a chance to look behind the curtain and have the deep state, the those that are doing so much harm, being exposed. It's a beautiful thing to see them being exposed, so that we can have accountability. So thank you so much. Let me read, Laura. Thank you for coming on so late. My father is a polygamist and cartel. Sorry, I don't honor him. He was part of my mother's death. Yeah, but see, I think there's a confusion with honor, I mean, like, if you hold him accountable to the law of the land, that's honoring him, right? Because to honor is to honor God, right? So, if you are going to raise your children right, even though he didn't, if you are going to not participate in the crimes, because even though he did, that's honoring him. It's a dishonor if you become cartel like him. It's a dishonor if you treat your children bad like he did. It's a dishonor if you treat your mother bad like he did. It's a dishonor. So, you don't have to like him, right? It doesn't say to honor doesn't mean you like them. Um, and I think that's where uh, that needs to be understood better, because when you honor your Father in heaven, you're honoring your Father on earth, whether he likes it or deserves it or not, right? And whether you like him or not. And whether, and that means that the laws have to be followed. If he committed the crimes, if the prime suspect in Richard's case is Dallas Hart, he needs to be held accountable. And his mother should have held him accountable. And you know and that's honoring. So honoring doesn't mean to let them get away with it and say, oh, I like, okay, you can do whatever you want because I'm your daughter or your son or whatever. No. Mm-mm. That's not what that is. Honor is doing the right thing, in terms of God. And I think that that's really important to do that kind of study on that fifth commandment, because they've twisted it and turned it because they're after the family. They've twisted that commandment and turned it around because they really do want to sow a lot of confusion and a lot of bad feelings in the family. So thank you so much. Thank you for clarifying honoring the parents. Big hug. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, and I just want to tell everyone thank you for sharing, because we are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And when you start doing your research, like I've been doing my research, how to get accountability, it's all about this media stuff. Okay, it's all about getting the word out, and the more the word gets out, like in Vanessa Guillén's case, Vanessa Guillén, they could not ignore it. It was being shouted out everywhere, and that was a good thing. They, even though, where are the changes? They said they made changes, and then look what happened to Richard. He's, um, so we have a lot of shouting out to do for Vanessa Guillén and for Richard and for many others. I would say for Glennon Oakley Jr., for many others. So, but that is what moves them. That's what moves them. And that's why media is so important. And that's why the people are so important. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back